Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Gurudev Prabhu, I'm Jagat Purush Das, and we have been asked to reflect as to the significance of Srila Prabhupada's journey. So for me, Srila Prabhupada's journey from India to Boston, then to New York, and then around the world 14 times, but especially this journey from India to Boston is a symbol of the consciousness that is the foundation of our movement and the foundation of true spirituality in whatever name it may come. And that is the consciousness that we are the instruments of the Lord and that we will sacrifice anything for the service of the Lord. And there is nothing which is impossible in the service of the Lord and the Spirit and the service of the spiritual master. So for me, this journey that Srila Prabhupada took, in which he experienced 2 heart attacks, he was going to a place that he had never been before and that has just so many unknowns. And yet, Srila Prabhupada came with not only determination but enthusiasm to bring Krishna bhakti, devotional service, to the world where maybe no one will take it and maybe no one will hear. But it was the wish of his spiritual master that he come, and therefore he came. And for me, and I think all of us, this sense of duty to the spiritual master and sense of sacrifice and ready to do anything and not to think small but to think big always, and to know that nothing is impossible for Krishna, therefore nothing is impossible for us so long as we remain the humble, submissive instruments of Krishna. So this is what the journey signifies to me, and I hope that someday I will embody just an ounce of that consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
My name is Anuttama Das. Actually, Prabhupada had 3 disciples named Anuttama, and the other one is also here. One of them, and is a lady Anuttama on the West Coast. So Prabhupada liked that name. And it was a good name because we're still actively serving. So we thank Prabhupada for saving us. Prabhupada said once, he said, "It is all because of my enthusiasm that this movement is going on." And when we think about Prabhupada's arrival here in Boston, we think of the enthusiasm and the determination it took to make that journey. So he explained that because of my enthusiasm, you have all had a chance to take to this Krishna consciousness. So we just want to thank Prabhupada for coming and saving us. As others have said, we're on this boat ride with many brothers and sisters. Some of us, we don't know each other. We have grandchildren, grand disciples. I see some of my god brothers and god sisters. I met one devotee, Guru Garanga. I haven't seen him in 40 years. 40 years. We were together in Switzerland 40 years ago, and now I get to be with him again. I was so happy to meet him again and see that he's happily serving Prabhupada. So we are all indebted to Prabhupada. We will continue that debt, paying that debt, working on satisfying, fulfilling the desire of Prabhupada. As Prabhupada said, it is not anything I have done, it is all the blessings of my Guru Maharaj. So similarly, we also feel that way. We do nothing, we only try to help. So that is our goal, to help Prabhupada in his mission. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
May I beg one of you to?
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskyata Deshata. My name is Vishaka Dasi, your servant, Hare Krishna. My husband and I and some young people, Lauren and Krishna Shakti, the four of us, are attempting to make a documentary film about Srila Prabhupada's legacy and life. So for that purpose, I've been doing research. As much as possible, we wanted Prabhupada himself to tell his story. So I went through lectures and darshans and morning walks, and I made what I thought was quite an amazing discovery in that when it comes to Prabhupada himself talking about his heart attack, maybe once or twice he spoke about it. It's part of our ISKCON lore, as it should be, but Prabhupada himself did not emphasize that. And then when it came to his meeting his spiritual master in 1922, he spoke about that repeatedly. We have pages of transcripts of what happened at that time. And then when it comes to the Krishna conscious philosophy, we have books, volumes and volumes of books. So in this way, I felt Prabhupada was also being the Acharya, in that he's not saying, oh, I risked so much for you, I sacrificed my life, you should be so No, we discovered that, and we're expressing our awe of what he did. But he himself, his mood was different. He wanted to give us this rich culture, this rich knowledge. That was his major focus. Om Agena Timarandasya Gananjanas. I know myself, when something traumatic happens to me, I want my friends and my family to know all about my risk and something, my life was almost lost. But Prabhupada's mood was not that. So that was something very extraordinary. And I was appreciating that about his legacy. I hadn't realized it before I started this search. And then it really impacted me. That he was here to give, and he gave all the time the philosophy and how to live it by his personal example. So, all glories to his divine grace.
Hare Krishna. Om Gantavrandasya Ganana Sakalaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasme Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paskvachade Satarane. I offer my respectful obeisances into the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and I offer my respectful obeisances to my godbrothers, my god sisters, and all the assembled devotees. So, our taskmaster is... I have to lean on something because I'm experiencing some dizziness. Okay, thank you. No, it's okay. It's an ongoing thing at the moment. Not related to the boat, actually. So you had charged us with trying to express how we've been impacted and transformed by this crossing of Srila Prabhupada from the Bay of Bengal to the eastern seaboard of the Atlantic Ocean. In a very simple way, I'm speaking personally, transformed me from a so-called human animal and gave me the knowledge of what human life is intended to be for, how it was intended to be lived, and the means to do so. So I'm still struggling to follow those instructions. However, in thinking about this crossing, for me, it's more his words that bring it to life. Of course, we have the Jaladutta diary, and we're familiar with that. But there is also a few letters that he wrote quite soon after his arrival. One on October 14th. And he described the situation for him, first coming to America and his entrance into American life as a unknown sadhu from India. And he explained that the people of America are now experiencing something new, referring to the teachings that he was presenting. They're experiencing something new. And he said that he is preaching some days for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half an hour. And he explained how their English, our English, was a little different from his English, and therefore a little hard for him to understand. But his English was a little difficult for them to understand. But nonetheless, they were hearing, and he said, they seem to like my English. He described an article that had been in the Butler Gazette newspaper, which he described as one of the largest publications. If you knew Butler, Pennsylvania, it was like a little town that it had seen better days. So it wasn't like the New York Times or the Times of India, but, for that area. But they had given Prabhupada prominence. And they had put his photograph. And Prabhupada himself had provided the title for the program. It was Ambassador of Bhakti Yoga to the West. And he had put it in capital letters. And they were very reverential as they explained what he was doing, how he was doing it. And they said something very interesting. Obviously, the information had come from Srila Prabhupada. But they explained how he had brought books that had been translated from the ancient scriptures, biblical-like scriptures, and they mentioned that he had 60 volumes. So, of course, we know at that time, they said 60 volumes were translated, and at that time we knew it was the first canto in 3 parts of the Bhagavatam that in reality existed. There was Easy Journey to Other Planets. That was, but very notable because we hear about that visit he had, the exchange on a park bench in Central Park, where he was speaking to some unknown person that was later determined to be, I think, a conductor of a bus, not somebody who was highly elevated per se, not even the bus driver. And he told that person that he had so many temples and so many books and so many students, disciples. At that time, he didn't even have an address. He didn't have a zip code, really. But he was expressing all these things. We were only separated by time. So he was seeing, even from the beginning, as he got on this boat. Right now we're on the Jaladutta with Prabhupada, so not this exact boat, but he was seeing into the future and the welfare. And then he was describing a little bit of his experience, in America, or on the crossing, how he crossed through the Bay of Bengal into the Indian Ocean. He went out into the Arabian Sea, and he crossed the port Said was on the other side of the canal, Suez Canal. So on the other side of the Suez Canal, then he crossed through the Mediterranean Ocean, and then the Atlantic Ocean. So all these seas and oceans, I crossed 12,000 miles, and I became so sick that I did not know if I would reach the other side alive. And then he explained that when they came through the canal at Port Said, which was on the other side, the captain purchased a small stove, means like a hot plate. And even though he had requested vegetarian meals, he said he couldn't eat them. He was so sick. He fasted continuously 8 to 10 days. So when he got this hot plate, he said, at last I was able to cook something, and I was able to eat. If the captain had not done this, I might not have survived. And I think maybe in the Jaladuta diary, he explained what he cooked, char, this, intentionally slightly burnt at the bottom. And he said he was able to eat that. So he said, I struggled alone, to reach. So then he continued. He was telling how he was describing the people in America, and he called them, they are ugra in nature, means uncultured. He described them as ugra. And then he described his trip from New York to Butler. It must have been in the night, because he said for 500 miles was non-stop, continuous light from the cars. He said it was almost like daylight because of the amount of cars, and that there was no need for flyovers because everybody was going so fast. He said not less than 50 miles an hour. And he said, for the first time I have spoken in a church, and they liked it. And he mentioned the housing. And then he mentioned that, he said, the Pope has come to New York. He said, I watched on television. Television is an amazing thing. From one room you can see the whole world going on. And then he gave the quote about how people waste their lives in such foolish endeavors. At night they spend their time usefully trying to enjoy their senses. But all of this I have come to do on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, meaning his Srila Prabhupada. Then I'll just finish. But just like Lord Chaitanya gave his prophecy that my name will be chanted in every town and village. So in a second letter that was written approximately a year after being here, he's described the young people that have come to him, was describing how in our country it's very common to impregnate women, then take them to a doctor and abort the child. He said, this is common. You cannot imagine. And he said, these young people who have come, so they're educated. And whereas they used to indulge in, intoxication in wine, liquor, meat eating, gambling, and this illicit sex, they're given this up. They've given it up. And he said now they're taking, and he described, he said they never knew before what was rice, dal, chapati, spinach. And they're enjoying very much. And he is explaining that I never expected so much. Their sadachar, their reverence to him. I never expected so much. And then came the part where he said that in the future there will be preaching all over the Western world by these young Western devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you both. Thank you so much. It's 4 minutes before Prabhupada arrives in New York City 50 years ago, and to honor that, I would like to have Radhanath Swami lead just a light. Yes. No. Everyone should stay sitting down, but just a light bhajan kirtan as Prabhupada arrives in New York. If we could do that. Swamiji, would you please do us the honor?
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Satharine. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone sing. Hare Krishna, Hare loudly sing. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Gaur Premanandi. How powerful it is that Prabhupada arrived and made so much sacrifice to come to us. But he was also delivered. Jaladuta means the water messenger. So he was also delivered as well to us. We will continue our reflections.
My name is Subha Vilas Das. I think I'll be speaking to you while sitting down, if you don't mind. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvadi Pacharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachachaste Starne Professor Gaudadas has given me a different assignment, what I was going to speak about, but I have to follow his instructions. But before I start, and I hear from all of you, once please lift your hand 3 times and say Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Loud! Srila Prabhupada ki! Srila Prabhupada ki! Srila Prabhupada ki! Tell you how fortunate I have been by meeting Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada coming to Boston. I could tell you where I would have been. The culture in America and Canada and the West has been normal to eat meat and all that, do all nonsense things. But I came from a Vaishnava family in India. I come in 64, early 64, and I am just following all the rules and regulations. But once I get a job and money, I said, Lord, there it is. I am their free man also now. And I'm doing all the nonsense. And could you imagine where I would have been without meeting Srila Prabhupada? And how fortunate I have been? The most fortunate person you are seeing. And all of you are so fortunate too to know about Srila Prabhupada. You see, Prabhupada ki jai. So if you look at Srila Prabhupada, if you could say, let's go to a material example. You know, when you want to turn on a light or a fan, you don't go to a plant where the electricity is done. You're all part and parcel of Srila Prabhupada. How you became, how it is, because it is mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Because in 75, when I say, Prabhupada didn't talk about his difficulties. But 75 in Vrindavan, he said one word. He keep me crying every day. He said, Subha Vilas, you should call me lovely Subhash Chandra, with a Bengali name. Even after the initiation, he called me Subhash Chandra. Bahut mushkil tha. It was so difficult. What he went through, you can't even imagine to come here. We will quit the next day, but what he did it. You know, in Vrindavan, he'd walk for printing. You know, this is all in Leela Amrita, when Prabhupada saying from his heart, the dogs are barking and he's walking at night, there's no light. This was our Prabhupada, what he has done for us. So what brings us this obligation to us? We have obligation to our father and grandfather. Most of our disciples have done their time, they're doing it. But the boat is in your hands now. So please, 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 serve Srila Prabhupada and your life will become successful and you will become the most fortunate just like us. One of my god brother who is sitting here from Udhampur, he told me something. Srila Prabhupada is not only merciful. He is the most merciful, and the most merciful. So please, so please take that mercy. He has opened the door back to God and now it is our duty just to step in. If I come to your house, what stupidity will be that you open the door and I stand outside. Hello, hello. What? Come in and join and serve Srila Prabhupada and your life will become successful. So please thank Srila Prabhupada for coming to Boston in spite of all difficulties. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you.
नमा ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी के नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा टुगेदर लॉर्डर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare. I was asked by my god brother that how you came to Krishna consciousness, which devotee you met. I came to Krishna consciousness by a divine arrangement. Nobody preached me about Krishna. Nobody gave me any book about Krishna. It was the arrangement of Krishna that I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada. Almost it was first meeting about my name. I was massaging Prabhupada. I passed some comments about our first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Nehru. Prabhupada said, "Oh, you are very intelligent." Prabhupada says, "Your mercy." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is Yogendra Kumar Sharma. From today onward, you are Navi Yogendra Das." My name, first meeting Prabhupada gave me. And few days later, I got the Brahman initiation. Giriraj Maharaj, where is he? Yeah, he's there. So, when fire sacrifice took place in Bombay, so devotees were getting Brahman initiation also. Giriraj Maharaj, that time Brahmachari, came to me. I said, "Why you want Brahman initiation so quick?" I said, "No, I want." You remember? So Prabhupada then gave me the Brahman initiation also. Devotees, Srila Prabhupada, there is one our Acharya Srila Vasu Ghosh Thakur. He is saying about Lord Chaitanya, "Yadi Gaur na hoito tabi ki hoito kemana dharitam de." If Lord Gauranga was not there, if he hasn't appeared, then why I could have taken this body? So I changed this song little. If Prabhupada na hoito tabi ki hoito kemana dharitam de bhaktir mahima premaras sima jagati janad ke. What is the gift of Srila Prabhupada to the whole world? Bhakti. Prabhupada gave bhakti, unmotivated and uninterrupted. Devotion. And this was very much lacking among all of us. And Prabhupada was such a magnanimous personality, such a wonderful personality. He embraced everyone, he embraced the whole world. When Srila Prabhupada once came to England, and one white pressman came to Prabhupada, he said, "Swamiji, what for you have come to England?" English people think that England belongs to their father. So what was Prabhupada's reply? Prabhupada paused for a little bit and then he said, "You Britishers stole everything from India." That's true. But you forget one thing. And this white pressman is wondering, what we forgot? He said, "You forget the culture. I have come here to give you the culture." And in US, one yogi came to Prabhupada. And this yogi said, "Swamiji, what for you have come to this country?" He said, "I have come to preach Sanatan Dharma." He said, "What do you mean Sanatan Dharma?" Prabhupada explained 4 regulatory principles, get up before 4 in the morning, chant Hare Krishna. So the yogi is saying, "Swamiji, if you want to preach to Americans, then you have to put on trouser and shirt, necktie, and learn to eat with a knife and fork. I don't think this Americans are going to listen to you." You know what was Prabhupada's answer? He said, "I didn't come here to follow them. I came here to make them follow me." This is our wonderful Prabhupada. Actually, my God brothers all spoke wonderful, very nice. I humbly, with a straw in my mouth, pray to all of you, please glorify this great Vaishnava. You know, like Subhablas was mentioning, many devotees say Prabhupada was a pure devotee. I said, "No, he was not pure devotee." Then he wondered who he was. He was more than pure. Was pure devotee, more than pure. He's very, very special Vaishnava. Lord Chaitanya made this prediction. Prithvi techa yatra nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoyam murunam. And who fulfilled this prophecy? Prabhupada. He preached all over the world with $7, 70 years old, no friends, no money, and changed the whole world. Such a great soul is very rare. And if Prabhupada hasn't come to America and preached here, then how this Krishna consciousness could have spread all over the world? So this is a very, very important day that Prabhupada has arrived here. I couldn't attend in Kolkata. 20,000 devotees were there. But I was here. I said, let me go and attend here in Boston, where Prabhupada arrived and started this wonderful movement. This movement is wonderful, and this is the need of the time. World is more or less finished, but this movement can only save if we become serious and sincere in the hands of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, my name is Chintamani. Srila Prabhupada gave me that name. He said Chintamani means place where Krishna stays, therefore prepare in your heart a place for Krishna. So he was giving equal opportunity for women and men to become devotees. And sometimes I think it takes so long to get to India on the plane, when you're going to be there. And then I thought of Srila Prabhupada, how he's on the ship for over a month. And as a disciple, we're getting older and things are becoming more difficult. Even the simplest things in Srila Prabhupada came at that age, which really it would be impossible unless one was empowered by the entire parampara and by Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. How it affected me personally, I was praying to Jesus for a year. Please help me to find God and, realize the truth. It became an obsession. I became a vegetarian. And I met just one devotee, and he said, why don't you write to Srila Prabhupada? And I wrote a letter asking questions about Jesus. And he wrote back and said, we're devotees of Jesus. And if you just add chanting Hare Krishna, you develop your love of God. So I started chanting, looking at pictures of Jesus because I hadn't seen deities. And so the very next month, I got initiated. It was called the Hare Krishna Explosion. Things were happening so fast. I wasn't qualified, and I'm still not qualified, but by his grace, he is pulling us all back. We all have him as our Shiksha Guru. We all have his instructions. And how was my life changed? Well, I didn't really have a life. Without the holy name, there's no life. It's like you're a zombie. You're walking a dead body. And so I got initiated. A couple months later, got married to a stranger because at that time we were going and opening temples, and he wanted a temple in Tokyo. So 3 of us went to Japan in 1969 and opened the first temple. But we said, Srila Prabhupada, we don't speak Japanese. And he said, that's okay, never mind. If your house is on fire, you can convey that message. And it's like, okay, that makes sense, you just go and chant. And Srila Prabhupada came 2 times when I was there because at that time all the Bhakta Godheads were printed in Japan and also the Krishna book. So my obeisance is to everyone here, please keep this Krishna consciousness going. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I am the French guy you were speaking about. Okay, my name is Gopa Swamidas. This day is a very good day for thinking and glorifying Srila Prabhupada, and also for getting or begging for some inspiration and blessings. Maybe my imagination, but I believe that Srila Prabhupada is somewhere here with us, present, watching very intently and happily. 50 years later, on a boat in Boston Harbor, and we're all around him. I believe he's watching us here now. So it's a good day to relate with him. Yeah, it's a happy day. And it's also a good day, let's make it short, it's a good day for beginning inspiration.
For me, one inspiration which I feel is inspiration or begging for courage. Courage? Okay, courage. Yes. We are thinking, we hear about Srila Prabhupada's courage, how he did all that alone, in a simple way, in one sense, very deep, but very simple also externally. And one thing which is difficult in life, for which you need courage, and when you have to tolerate being alone, being forsaken, all right, sometimes even criticized, or people being contemptuous, being object of contempt, anyway, being neglected, let's say like that. And it is piercing to the heart when you feel neglected or alone. So that's what Prabhupada, I think about that. He was, of course, by the arrangement, by some divine arrangement, his closest people to his heart, his God brothers, whom he naturally respected and loved, they did not show him any interest, any support, any encouragement. So that must have been, piercing to his heart in such a time where, some encouragement, some support would have been much appreciated and needed. So that we can feel that, certainly. Who doesn't feel a little alone sometimes in his duty? Who doesn't feel like forsaken? And today I feel it's a good day to beg some strength, some courage, some inspiration from His Divine Grace, who did that, and he must have felt this, being alone. But if he had this feeling, it was like, let's say, secondary to his positive feeling. Yes, Srila Prabhupada was very transcendently positive, Jivadaya, compassion to the jivas, Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu, Adama Janara Bandhu. Yes, that was his one of his strengths to overcome whatever feeling or complaint or what there. Compassion for the jivas. Another one was Namaruchi. I have strong faith.
Krishna arranged that he do it alone. Of course, he wasn't alone. He had Krishna, and he had the holy name, and he had the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he had the order of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he sailed into Boston Harbor, and he sailed into so many of our hearts, and helped us give up our hippie ways. And as he said, I came to turn hippies into happies. And he came to give us the holy name, and for me that was something that was really important. I had actually already, before I met Srila Prabhupada, I had heard the holy name and had been chanting it singing it. I just thought it was a cinema song. It was in the musical Hair, and I started singing it after hearing it there, and just kept singing it for a couple of years, not knowing what I was doing until I met Prabhupada and his devotees. And then in 1971, I was living here in Boston, and by Krishna's arrangement, I met a young man doing book distribution one day who was a senior college student at Northeastern University, and he was a communications major, and he was very attracted to the Krishna book, and he suggested that he had a radio program once a week on the college radio station, which actually goes out all over Massachusetts. And so he suggested that we do dramatic readings of the Krishna book stories. So of course we took him up on that, and Satsrupa Maharaj would write the script, and we would go to the radio station. I was always Mother Jasoda, and Satsrupa Maharaj was Krishna. And if any of you remember Sahotra, he was whatever demon was in the story of the week. And this college student, he would make like a background tape with different sound effects to go along. So later that year, Srila Prabhupada had gone to New York, and Satsrupa Maharaj took tapes of our radio shows, and he was playing them for Srila Prabhupada. And so Prabhupada was listening to the one of Krishna subduing the Kaliya serpent. And so when Mother Jasoda sees her darling Krishna enwrapped in the coils of this hideous snake, I, playing the part of Mother Jasoda, was screaming Krishna's name. And Prabhupada said to Satsrupa Maharaj, "Stop the tape." He said, "Who is that?" And Satsrupa said, "That's Sumati." And Srila Prabhupada said, "You tell her to cry for Krishna like that all the time." So,
give us an example. You want to give us an example of that cry?
I don't know. I'm too nervous right now. But, Krishna! So that was, I
Sumati
believe.
was the pujari, crying for Krishna.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada came to bring the holy name, the Maha Mantra, to all of us. And so I just pray that someday I really can cry for Krishna like that all the time. And I pray that I can somehow serve Srila Prabhupada for the rest of forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Whoa, there's some real action going on here, huh? Yes. Hope you're not losing your balance.
For your lunch.
Okay. Just make some way there. There we go. There we go. Okay. Need to make it relatively quick. Okay.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivishesha Sanyavari Paschatya Deshatarane. So Garuda Prabhu asked the question, what is the significance of Srila Prabhupada's voyage and arrival here in Boston Harbor to all of us? And I can only think that, remember that Srila Prabhupada said that his Guru Maharaj had given him a suicide mission. And I was thinking that really our lives were really on a suicide path. And in fact, the whole culture, the whole Western culture, was a culture on a suicide path, like lemmings, just jumping off a cliff. What would I've been without Prabhupada? I think many of us could say we would have just been statistics, some kind of statistic of suicide or this or that or the other thing. Srila Prabhupada came on this boat, and we all know this story of his heart attacks, his seasickness, and he was prepared to give his life, really, in humility and gratitude to his Guru Maharaj. he was prepared to die the way Jatayu died in the story of Lord Ram. Jatayu died, he gave his life serving Lord Ram, and Srila Prabhupada was prepared to die like that for serving his spiritual master, and also out of compassion for all of us, these unknown people on the other side of this unknown frontier called America. Srila Prabhupada wrote in his Jaladuta diary, he commented when he was passing through Colombo, he commented on the daring fishermen he was seeing these fishermen jumping into the sea and disappearing and then coming back up after jumping into the water, almost disappearing and then coming back up. And he was commenting in his diary how these fishermen were so daring, and they were perhaps 10 or 12 miles from their native shore. It struck me so deeply that how very daring Srila Prabhupada was. I love what Ramapad Swami said about the contradictory qualities, his humility, but yet his determination, his dedication, his fearlessness. So he was so fearless to come 12,000 miles from Gauda Desh and take the mission of his Guru Maharaj, and ready to really die at sea, to die in this unknown land for our sake, for the sake of all living beings. In one of Srila Prabhupada's purports, he writes that, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he writes that the Supreme Lord is always grateful for the unsophisticated, unconditional service of his devotees. So bhakti is like that. It's a reciprocation of gratitude between the Lord and the devotees. And we've read that bhakti follows the mercy of the devotee. So Srila Prabhupada ardently prayed in his prayers in this harbor that, I have no knowledge, I have no devotion, I have only strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. Please make the power of my words, make them able to hear what my message. He was just praying and begging. He prepared himself, begging and crying in the Radha Damodar temple at the Sri Advaita Bhavan. We hear these stories. So this is a reciprocation, bhakti following the prayers of the pure devotee, and by his mercy, bhakti coming into the hearts of all of us. Srila Prabhupada, I heard him lecture. In one lecture he was saying, we hear so much preach, 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 but they do not know you must be empowered to preach. And so if we do want to show our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, preach his mission, let thousands and millions more people understand his message, we really have to pray and cry like he cried and try to spread this Krishna consciousness in his mood of deep humility and gratitude. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
That was Rukmini Devidasi. And now we have quick reflection from Rangavati, commonly mispronounced as Rangavati. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. The question was, how has Srila Prabhupada affected my life, our lives? And I guess I have to spin that and say, how has he not affected my life? In every phase from the time that I joined up until right in this moment, Prabhupada has always been the greatest fortune that I could ever know. I came from a very nice family. I had a very nice parents. And I thought, oh, okay, everything's fine. And then I was hurt somewhere. My heart was very broken one time. And so I looked for a higher power. My father tried to help me, and he couldn't make the pain go away. And I realized at that time what that meant. I later found out it written that he was a fallible soldier. And so at that time I realized I must have real knowledge, real truth. So I prayed very deeply, very fervently in a field of flowers one day in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then 2 days later, I was in the Detroit Temple. Under that, yeah, it was kind of a miracle. I didn't have any conditions in that prayer. Yeah, I just wanted the truth. I didn't want. I had been reading a lot of yoga, yoga about just different yoga teachers, and I didn't care who it was or where it was. I just wanted the truth. And 2 days later, there I was in Detroit, and I have never been disappointed. Prabhupada has always delivered the truth. He can deliver all of us, anytime, any place, anywhere, from all around the world, every nook, every cranny. I'm just watching Indra Swami out there in Mongolia, chanting, and this beautiful devotee that runs the Sadhu Sangha said that he's so happy to be there now because the government is allowing the devotees to stay there. So he's going to stay for another month and just preach to devotees in Mongolia. So I, like Ambarish, I'd like to just add a little something. I also feel very humbled in the company of my godbrothers, dear godbrothers and sisters who have given their lives in every single way for all these years to help bring all of you here. And I guess the talk now is the torch is going to you. I was just in a play, Maharaj. I did my first play in Gainesville in Alachua, Janmastami. They had me as grandma, very appropriately. And it was so fun working with those kids. They just knew those lines, zip, like that. In 2 days, they had them all out, and I was there, da, 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 da. I couldn't get my lines. But it was so wonderful, and I think we're in good hands with those kids, so thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Real quick.
My name is Sarvasiddhi Ratas. My wife's name is Swayam Prabhadasi, Devi Dasi. And when we first, I truly believe this in my heart. I've meditated on this for years and years, and that I'm completely convinced that everything that has happened in our life is because of Prabhupada. Every single thing. The things that were like everything, just everything. The first time that since this day, and up to today, right now, the first time that I was in a room with Prabhupada, it was at the opening of what they called then the New Berkeley Temple. And there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of devotees. And we had entered the movement, and we were already a family. Our son, his name was Daru Brahman Das. And we, being new, and Prabhupada there at the temple, we were at the furthest end. There was just a wall and us. And we're all offered our obeisances. We're offering our obeisances to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's tossing out nuts and dried fruit and like that. And our heads are, the three of us, our heads are down. And what happened? We heard a little, knocking. And we look up, and in front of each of our heads is an almond. Except for in my wife's, there were 2 almonds. She was pregnant. And from that day, I can really say, up until right now, standing here, all these things happened by Prabhupada's arrangement. Prabhupada said that we should name our children names of Krishna. And so, and Prabhupada, he said Gurukula. So we sent our Daru to Gurukula. He, graduate of Vrindavan Gurukula. And like that. But we named our other children names of Krishna. We had a daughter, we called her Govinda. Our other son was called Krishna. Our other son is called Narayan. But this is what I have to say about doing this for everyone that can have children and that has children. As time went on and the children had to enter, high school, They were all quite charismatic people. They go into and they were characters. They go into an auditorium at the high school, and the whole high school erupts. Yay, Krishna! Yay, Krishna! Govinda worked in the office, on the speaker all the time. Will Govinda please report to the office? Will Govinda please report to the office? So please, name your children simple names of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
That's very good. Very good.